It is my Bubbly Voice. In our video today, we are doing a Dogmatika Live Twin deck profile. So I'm really excited to show you guys this because this is one of my favorite variants of Live Twin of all time, and it's a really good deck overall. Very good in today's format, especially since people are running a lot of hand traps, and this deck can naturally play through 2 or 3 hand traps, which is really insane, and can still just freaking set up the most insane boards that I have ever seen, really. This deck has a this deck is post Legacy of Destruction, but I am planning to do like a little bit more um constructing post Legacy of Destruction. So I'll give you guys updated list if I change anything. And this deck actually has a really good matchup against Snake Eye. Even pre banlist, this deck actually had a really good game, like really good matchup against Snake Eye. This deck kind of is not the greatest in the grind game. So just watch out for grind game for like the grind game stuff. So the only way to fix that problem is if you were to play RUNICK engine with the deck. So if you're able to play Dogmatika Live Twin RUNICK, this deck will have an insane grind game potential, and it just sets up such insane boards. Like it's free wins literally. So before we get started, I just want to say, just look at this beautiful mat. Yes, if you haven't noticed already, I have gotten a new mat, and this is gonna be one you're gonna see for a while because this is literally my favorite Live Twin mat of all time. And yeah, so before we get started, don't forget to like and subscribe because we're trying to reach 500 subscribers. We're almost there. We're almost at 300, so I'm actually really proud of that. Thank you guys for all the support. And without further ado, I won't waste any more of your time. Here we go. Alright, to start things off with the main deck, we're running the 3 copies of Live Twin Lila. 3 copies of Live Twin Lila is pretty standard. She's the best normal summon, and you want to see her as much as possible, so of course 3 copies, because she gets to summon out Keyscale Frost. I can't stress this enough, 3 Lila is always mandatory, unless you choose not to do so. But I definitely rather Lila over Keyscale. And speaking of Keyscale, we are running 3 copies of Keyscale. In the future, I'm gonna run 2 copies of this and just cut one for the secret password, because I don't think Droll is gonna be that prominent no more in that format. Maybe if it does, like, see people still citing it, I maybe switch back to the 3 key skill. But the only reason I don't want to run 3 key skill is because you don't want to see too many normal summons hand in hand. So you don't want to see both of these in your opening hand. So you just want to see one of these. That's why I think 3 and 2 is a fine ratio. But if you do see a little bit more draw, I think maybe running maybe 2 home. 2 home is also another thing you could do, and run like at least 1 secret password at least. So that is something also you can do. This deck also does lose the draw, if you guys didn't know. Next, for the extenders, we have 1 tree and 1 frost. Since we're running 3 of each right now, I feel like running the tree is kind of necessary. And even if you were running like the 2 key skill, I think the tree would still be necessary in the deck. Just being able to extend through your opponent's hand traps, and being able to, and these cards actually do come up pretty decent in the grind game. Next we have 3 Sunny Snitch. Sunny Snitch is basically eroded the deck. Of course, you have to run 3 copies of it. Next we have the 2 Secret Password, and then the 1 Live Twin Home. I cut down the Live Twin Home because, for the reason being, is this out of focus? Perfect. I've cut the Live Twin Home, one of the Live Twin Homes, because I didn't feel like that it gives you a -1 basically. So you have to discard a card for cost, and then after that, if your opponent ashes this and this is your only starter, then you're just left with 3 cards in hand. Meanwhile, everything else is like a one card combo if they ash it, or if they ash it or something, is not really that big of a deal because you're not losing advantage because of that. Because then you still have 4 other cards in hand. So I usually mostly use home as an extender, so that's only running 1 copy and the 2 secret passwords to search the home. So that's the reason behind only 1 home. I wouldn't run more home in the future. So that's it for the Live Twin stuff. There's 12 starters, so that gives us a pretty decent chance of drawing at least 1. And they're all 1 card starters, so it's not that bad to, not bad of a consistency. I can't even speak today. I'm so sorry. Next for the Dogmatika stuff: 2 Ecclesia, 2 Maximus, 1 Fleur de Lis, and 3 Nadir Servant. Now I'm gonna give you guys an explanation on these ratios. So the reason why we're running 2 Ecclesia is because she's not as good as Maximus and Fleur Nadir Servant. I'll explain why. So let's say if your opponent nibs you on your Maximus or nibs you on your Trouble Sunny, then after that you only have a token, and then after that you don't have any monster special summon from the extra deck. So then you're not able to go into your Dogmatica lines. Meanwhile, you still have a Link monster engraved, so you're able to still go Maximus past Nibiru. So the Deer Servant and Maximus are way better to see than Ecclesia because these play through Nibiru, and this doesn't. This I don't really like seeing this card overall. But the only reason I'm running 2 is because one is mostly for the grind game. The second one does come up a lot in the grind game. Same thing with the Maximus. They both the second copies of each do come up a lot in the grind game, and these are all your except for the Fleur de Lis, these are all your cards that get access to your Dogmatica engine, and your Dogmatica engine just really raises the ceiling of this deck by a ton, and I mean it makes the freaking um, end board really powerful. And then the one Fleur de Lis, this is the brick of the deck. I don't consider Schism to be a brick of the deck because you have to discard a card off of Abkalon anyways, so you're not getting really a +1 out of it. Meanwhile, if once you send Titaniclad to add this stand, it's a free +1. So that's why I don't really want to see Fleur de Lis in hand because it's just I would rather see something else. 3 Ash. Now for the hand traps, we're gonna go into hand traps. So for hand traps, I'm running 3 Ash, of course. This deck has a pretty hard time going against Branded. Branded just easily outgrinds this deck, so not too much of a fan of that, especially now that still Sanctifiers still have yet to been hit on the ban list. So unfortunately, we still have to deal with the Gimmick Puppet lock. So running 3 Ash Blossom is pretty mandatory, keeping them from sending their Gimmick Puppet from their deck to the grave. Now for the rest of the hand traps, we have 2 Veiler, 2 Imperm, 2 Nibiru, 1 Bell, 1 Mourner, and 1 Droll. Okay, so reason for these like variation of hand traps. 2 Veiler, I would run 3 if I could, but I can't. I don't really have the space. Plus the side deck was really tight as well. So I needed to make some main deck adjustments in order to actually fit everything I wanted to do in the side deck. So 2 Veiler because this deck really draws into your cards into your opponent's turn. So drawing a Veiler in your opponent's turn is really insane. You don't want to see Imperm like when you're drawing on your opponent's turn because you get 2 draws on your opponent's turn. One from Keyskill Frost and one from the regular Link monster of Keyskill. Hold up, focus. Yeah. So that's why you only want to run 2 Imperm because you don't want to draw this on your opponent you don't want to draw into this on your opponent's turn. And then after that we have the 2 Nibiru. 2 Nibiru is actually really good in this deck. I would also run 3, but like this deck is actually pretty consistent as it is, so I don't think I'd like to run 3. Plus, against like something like Labyrinth isn't really that good either, and things that are able to set up something on the 5th summons isn't really like set up Apollos on the 5th summon isn't really that it really isn't that good either. But it's also good if you only open up your Live Twin stuff and not your Dogmatica stuff, but that doesn't happen too often. So it's also something you don't want to see going first as well. And it's just really mostly going second card. And if you only have 1 copy of like if you can't you don't have if you don't have access to an extender and only a Live Twin starter, it's just not that good because the Live Twins need to be able to control no other monsters in order to activate their effects. So let's say if you have a Lilla and a Keyskill Frost, then you're able to use Nibiru when you're going second, because then you have to use normal summon Lilla. You can't activate your effect, and then you just special summon the Frost, or if you have access to any of those. So that's why I only run 2 Nibiru. Before I was running 3, but I just think 2 would be a better choice. And then also I'm running Cross on the side anyway, so I really wanted a more variation of hand traps, just to like cover a lot of different hand traps that do hurt this deck. So things like Bell, Ghost Mourner, and Drone Lockbird, they all kind of hurt this deck, kind of. Droll really hurts this deck because you do search a decent amount and you search some pretty powerful cards. So without like if you get Drolled, it's not the greatest thing in the world. And then for Bell is kind of hurt this deck. They just belled the Trouble Sunny, and then you won't be able to get. You don't get your cycle of your Live Twins back in. Like if it does stop your cycle for your Evil Twin stuff, so you don't get draw pops and then link away again. It does stop some of your cycles. That's why I'm running one Bell in the main. Plus, it also does cover a lot of different decks like Branded, Labyrinth, Snake Eye. I think it hits a little bit of Voiceless Voice too. And then the one Mourner, of course. Mourner is actually pretty decent. It does help out in the and for a time as well. And then for the last of the deck, I'm running 2 copies of Forbidden Droplet, 2 Tactics, 1 Call By. These are more of your like going second cards slash like going against hand traps. So this is good for going second. It's also really good going first as well. You just set this, and along with your Schism, you can set this with your Schism, and then they can't really blindly Cosmic you, because then after that they don't know which card is which. So you have to wait for you to activate it. So that's another thing they have to keep track of. I run 2 of each of these. I don't run 3 of each of these. I don't run 3 of either of these because I don't want to draw into multiples, and I would just rather see 1 of each or just 1 of any of them. And then 1 Call By, of course, since we're not playing a fire deck, is actually pretty decent. Helps you allow. It helps a lot in the grind game, and also helps negating your opponent's hand traps and even like something like Snake Eye Ash as well. And then the last card in the main, I wasn't maining this before, but now I'm maining it. I just think it's so powerful, and there's only 1 card that you need, which is Shadow Schism. And I did cut the Super Poly for more hand traps. I really didn't think that having so many like Shadow stuff in the side deck was okay, like because I really wanted room for matchup specific cards instead of having just a Shadow package in my side deck. So that's why I decided to main the Shadow package instead. So 1 Schism in the main, and this is not really a brick at all. So except if you're going second. So this is the only reason I cited it before, because this sucks going second. But that's kind of what you have to deal with this deck. But you do have a lot of other going second cards like Forbidden Droplet, Triple Tactics, Imperm, and all your other hand traps, plus Nibiru and stuff like that. I just think is good enough as it is. So I think having Schism in the main is just well worth it. It's really well worth it, actually. Won me a lot of games. I don't regret it. Next, for the extra deck. 2 Key Skill. 2 Lala. These come up a lot. I don't think I would run more to this. I think that's good enough. Most of the time I go into like maybe 3 or 4 of them, or all 4, but I never really needed a 5th or more than that. So I just think having those is just good enough. And then 2 Trouble Sunny, and then 1 McCraker. So this is a new card I decided to put in because McCraker does summon out your Trouble Sunny from the grave, and it only needs 2 monsters. So in the grind game, this really helps a lot because you're able to summon out your Trouble Sunny from grave, and it just puts in so much work. And it's a really insane card as it is, and it just locks you into Fiends, but from the extra deck. But it doesn't really matter because most of your extra deck is only Fiends anyways. So it doesn't really matter at all. 1 Lingeribo. This is for the combo with the Ecclesia, and then just for your Dogmatika stuff in general. If you open up the Ecclesia or Maximus, you need this in your extra deck in order to actually be able to banish it off of your Maximus, and then be able to go into your Dogmatika engine. And then 1 Abomination. Abomination is really, really insane in this deck. I actually love this card. I did cut the Unicorn for the Abomination, but I just think Abomination puts in so much work. It at least pops 3 cards, because you turn 3, you attack into one of your opponent's monsters, you destroy them, and then after that this pops 1 card. Then you go Trouble Sunny, summon out Lila. Lila pops a card. Abomination pops another card. Go into end phase. This pops another card. It just pops so many cards. It's literally puts in so much work. Love this card to death. Really, it's just Honestly, I sometimes I question myself and see maybe this should be banned. All right, next for the shadow stuff, we just have the construct, the winda, and the Akalon. Construct is mostly in the grind, more for the grind game. I cut it when I was testing this at first. I cut it before. I cut it for a really long time because I really think that it didn't come up. But after like a lot of the grind games that I lost because the grind game was just not enough. I just think construct having construct as like a tool is just really insane. But if you want to cut the construct, I recommend putting in like SP or a unicorn. Next, Garura. This is more of your like Dogmatika targets. Titanic Cloud, Garura, and Entis. This pops card, this draws a card, and this searches Fleur de Lis. So that is it for the extra deck. Alright, so now as a special thank you for being patient with me, because I know I haven't been uploading as much as I used to. I'm gonna give you guys my side deck. So this side deck actually goes for my locals specifically. You could change it and tune it up to your locals, or you could just use this as a sort of guide to your side deck as well. So I have 2 ogre. This is mostly for Tenpai Dragon. I wasn't sure if I would go against Tenpai Dragon. I'm not sure if people are playing Tenpai Dragon in my local, so that's why I'm only running 2. But I think 2 is fine enough because you draw a decent amount of cards off your live and stuff. So I think this is fine. And just I don't want to have 3 and then just not. I just don't think 3 is really needed in this deck because I wanted extra space for my other cards in my side deck that are a little bit more impactful. 2 DD Crow. DD Crow is for the branded lock, and it also is for stuff like Labyrinth, banishing their transaction rollback. Is good for Snake Eyes, banishing the IP Masquerena. Is also good for like just so many other matchups. Is just and like Tearments as well. Tearments, we do have a lot of Tearments in our local, so it does help out a lot. And then another Bell. This is the second copy of Bell. I was running another one, like the third copy in the side, but I just really needed more space, and I think we have enough cards as like we have enough graveyard cards as it is. We already have the 2 DD Crow for graveyard decks and the Mourner. I just think that's good enough as it is. Please focus. And I just think one Mourner, I mean one Bell, I think is fine. 3 Cosmic. 3 Cosmic actually puts in a lot of work because it's not only good in the Fire Key matchup, it's good against Labyrinth, it's good against Voiceless Voice, it's good against Tenpai Dragon, is good against so many decks. Is just no reason why not to run 3. That's another reason I don't run 3 Ghost Ogre, because although you need to do respect Tenpai Dragon, they're not really anything without their field spell. So you have the 3 Cosmic plus the Ogre. I just think that's good enough for that matchup. 2 Cross-Side Designator. Going first, you do need your cards to resolve, especially post sides. That's why I'm running 2 copies of Cross-Side Designator. You can run 3 if you want to, but I made more space for 2-dimensional barrier and 3 evenly matched. That is it for today's deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed today's deck profile. I know it was a bit long, but I just want to go a little bit more in depth with the deck. If you want a more in-depth deck profile as well, I recommend you check out my previous video. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.